Hello once again. I'm here to show you tonight. I'm going to show you my rock collection that are effigies. I believe that these are all alligators, and they lay flat. It's more like they're swimming. Their mouths are closed, and they're usually long in appearance, and they're not as defined so much by the detail of where the eyes and mouth and snout and nostrils and all that are. They're not quite as detailed as maybe you'd like, but they do have that shape, and some of them in a cartoonish way really do look like gators. So here, let's take a look at several of them that I've classified as the flat gators or the sunning gators. First one is really hard. I looked at it for a long time and I really tried to figure out what it is, but basically what I'm going by is the general shape. And if you look, I would say that on this one that the eye is right there, and this protrusion here is just the way that the rock was formed. You can see that it was flattened out in here. It comes down to a snout. It does have another place back here that makes it look like it could be an eye. So it really sets better this way, but I have no idea what it is. So if it don't set good that way, then you look for another flat area and see if it sets that way, and it just so happens that whenever you set it down, it naturally goes the way it's supposed to set. So that's how I tell about that one. So I'm calling that a gator. I don't really know what it is. And then the next one to it is also made out of clay, and they're long, and I see on that one the ridge of the snout, and I see two dark places up towards the top of the picture, and that looks like eyes to me. Same thing with this one. It's got eyes. So it's long. It's not a skull. All the other effigies that I've found have always seemed to be animal related. I've found a few faces, but at this particular campsite I'm not seeing that. Some of them are just really not that good. Of course, nothing in nature is perfectly shaped, and cartoons are not perfectly shaped. So I just kept these because I thought that they really resembled something. Sometimes it's got to be looked at an angle, but you can see the shape basically. And they look like alligators to me. Okay, get too close to that light. And then those up there at the top are basically either petrified wood or hard rock, but either way they are too also shaped like an alligator. So the strange thing here is that there's no evidence of alligators being in this part of the country. They are maybe 300 miles from here, close to the Red River down in Louisiana, but I haven't seen any around this area ever. Now, I did see otters and bobcats and even dead mountain lions, but no gators. So why do all these rocks represent, or to me represent, gators? Intentional. See, it's just like on this one right here. I mean, it's a gator. The shape of the head's a gator. It's got its mouth closed. It's flat on the bottom. And it just lays there. Now, what was it used for? I mean, or is it just coincidence? And what they like to have you believe from the experts is this is just all erosion, either water or wind. But I don't know. These all come out of the same area, and it can't be more than 20 square yards of territory. And they're all about 6 to 11 inches deep. There's a layer of clay, and when I get to that layer of red clay, I stop because I'm not finding anything, and it's really hard to dig. So most of these are exposed just by scraping laterally and seeing a rock exposed and then just digging out around it and letting it fall. And if it's big, chances are it's an effigy. Now, I call, and I'm continuing to call. It's just like if I was looking at these, I would have to say that I would have to call some of them, just because I wouldn't consider them close enough to be considered an effigy. But if they're made out of clay and formed and baked and then buried in the ground forever, and I dig them up and they look like alligators and they all come from the same area, it just makes it very hard for me to believe that I'm not looking at some kind of campsite relic. And like those two right there are actually, it's really harder to see, but they are shaped like alligators, and that could be erosion there. A lot of these could be erosion, I guess. Just to me, I see faces, I see something that looks like alligators. So anyway, that will wrap up the alligators. The video before was on these angry swamp gators, and these are the other alligators that I've identified, and I'm calling these sunning gators.